Hello and welcome to Hood Parenting on YouTube. I'm your host, Yashika Foster. Let's get into today's video. This one is for the children. FTC, you guys know I have for the children, FTC for the parents, FTP, and for us all, FUA. Because sometimes I have messages that I feel that are directed to certain people because they need to hear it, because these are the conversations that we didn't go into depth about as parents, and maybe somewhere down the line we wanted to go wide, but we didn't go deep enough for certain things, right? So imagine an ocean. You tip on a whole bunch of things, but then sometimes we got to hone in on that one little thing and go deep with it, right? So today's video is for the children, and this one is called the risks versus rewards. So what that says is, what are you willing to risk for the rewards that you're willing to get? And although some people want to believe that there isn't any risk, some people want to believe that you can do things and be present in all areas and check the block on everything, or like I say, put a Band-Aid on it and everything is good. But you sacrifice something in the meantime, right? You might not think you do, but you do. And I'm gonna give an example. Today I was talking, I did a live on one of the other platforms, and I was talking about my benefits as a veteran. And I'm a 25-year veteran. I retired in 2016. Now I sit here as a 100% retiree. And I feel like I deserve the care that I get, because this week alone, I had like 4 different appointments, because for my birthday, every birthday, whenever I start to get older, I align my appointments with my birthday, so that way I can keep a track of my health and make sure I'm taking care of what I need to take care of, because this is something that the Army got me on a routine of doing, right? So with that being said, this week I went to 4 different doctors. I went to one because I had stomach issues, a gastroenterologist. I went to another one because of my back issues, orthopedic doctor. I went to go see the eye doctor, optometrist. They gave me new glasses for free. And then I turned around and went to my sleep doctor, because I have this sleep device that you put in your mouth, and it looks like a bracket, but that thing costs a lot of money, right? And the military paid for it, the government paid for it. And so people may look at that and be like, well, you know what? That is amazing. You get all these healthcare benefits. And not only do I got the TRICARE, but I also have the VA as backup. But look at the fact that I have these ailments. So I deserve this care. So for me, that was the risk that I took versus the rewards that I have, because I do have full coverage insurance. I did retire at 43, but I also beat my body down. I also sent my body through some changes. Not only that, but there was some points in my kid's life where I didn't get to experience because I was on a mission. Like even for my first son, my oldest son, when he started to walk, we were in Germany, and it took him a little while to walk, because when he first started walking, he did it about 9 months or so, and he fell, and so it terrified him, and so he wouldn't do it again. Well, when he finally decided to walk again, I was deployed to Kuwait. And so at this point, he was about a year and a month, or 13, 14 months old, and he just got up and walked. And that was something I had to catch on video. Luckily for me, someone recorded VHS style and sent it to me while I was in Kuwait. Or not Kuwait, I'm sorry, I was in Bosnia. I'm sorry, I wasn't in Kuwait, I was in Bosnia during this time. And so we were between Bosnia and Hungary. And so I had to see my son walking through a VHS tape. And so those were things that I sacrificed. Those were things that I risked, so that I can have the things that we needed, so that I can have a better life than what I came from. And so when people talk about that, we don't go into debt about it, right? We don't go into debt about everything we do in life. There's a give and take, because we want to believe that the universe is just, it's just a straight shot and everything, but it's not. It's not. You know what I mean? And so even people who decide that they want to focus on their career, right? Their career is their thing, and they never start a family, or they choose not to start a family, or whatever the thing is that you want, right? And then you realize that time is taken up. And so you look up and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I thought I had time. And I've experienced people. And it's not no one size fit all. It's not one of those things where what works for you may work for me, or what worked for me may work for them. It doesn't work like that. So in terms of what you sacrifice, what's your risk versus your rewards, as an adult, you have to make that decision. You have people around you, like your parents and your friends and your mentors or whoever, that will tell you what they would do in your situation. But at the end of the day, you have to figure out what's, because understand this, there is always a risk. Sometimes we don't see the risk, but sometimes the risk is small, right? Depending on what you define as small. So you risk it because you know the reward is bigger. Everybody's walk is going to be different. Everybody's approach is going to be different. So what are you willing to risk so that you can get the rewards? And I look at social media, and I look at the different things that's going on, the kids that are making good money on social media and doing their thing. And those kids are risking a lot of things, especially the young ones that come out. I think they're a lot like, your childhood actresses. When I was a kid, you had a lot of childhood actresses that start off very young. And so as they start to grow older, they had to try to be a different person, or should I say audition for different roles in movies, because now they weren't those kids anymore. That's how the world see them, as the kid that played in this movie. And so now they have to transition to an adult, and that's not really an easy thing to do. And not a lot of people are able to make that transition, right? And so I look at the ones on social media, and they're having to deal with this while being bullied, while transitioning from a young person. I mean, it's just amazing, but they're risking their mental health. They're risking the abilities they're risking everything, right? They're risking things, but it depends on what's important to them. And I won't say they're risking everything. What I'm saying to you is that they may risk what's important to them. Maybe the things that they find important, we may not. For them, they may say, well, I'm about, getting to money and fame. Whereas that somebody else will say, well, you know what, I'm not going to do that because my safety is important. If I put myself out there, then it opens me up to the world for people to come find me. So you have your what's important to you. But again, it goes back to what I said about what do you want to do? And only you can make that decision, because my walk of life is going to be different than your walk of life. Right. And so I don't know who this is for, but I know that this is for somebody. And I do these videos if this is your first time here. And again, if this is, make sure you subscribe and turn your notifications. So what is the purpose of hood parenting? And I say it often because I wanted to just really just click into the audience so they can understand that what I'm talking about, a lot of it either comes from personal experiences or things that people are going on around me. Sometimes it's both at the same time, depends on what day of the week we're talking about. But I look at this, and hood parenting is just about how do I use my education, my experience, and my gut instincts, because sometimes when we move to a different life than what we grew up to, sometimes being from a certain location, it gives you a certain, I don't know, benefit in the world. Like I know for me, my tenacity, my endurance, my will to survive is because of the environment that I grew up in. And I don't think that we have that. When we get to a certain community, we kind of lose that. So when it comes to our kids and they go out in the world, they find some things confusing because they're not used to hostility. They're not used to being told no. They're not used to not getting their way. They're not used to, so they don't know how to make that transition. Just like that childhood actor, they don't know how to make that transition. And so I want people to understand, and this is why if this is for the children, but even if it's the adults that watch, I need you to understand. We don't have all the answers. There are some things that you're going to have to risk yourself, depending on what's your reward and what you find to be the most rewarding. And what you decide may not look like what somebody else, and people may judge you. You may look up and realize you made a mistake, and that's okay, but you get up and you keep going, and then you do the next thing. And I think that that's where sometimes we lose a lot of our young adults, because they'll do something, they'll risk something, and if it don't work out, they just be like, you know what, I'm not going to do it again. But you have to be you have to keep going. And that's where that strength from your environment or your childhood comes into play, because it teaches you to just be a certain way. And so I think that my hood experiences combined with my suburban life and my military lifestyle is just really a great asset, because when I make decisions about my life, when I do things, when I've done things, when my life, as I continue to progress, I always felt like there was a part of me I had to hide. But as I've transitioned from the military and I became this person, and I look at my adult children and my adopted daughter, they're my oldest stepdaughter is 33. She'll be 34. My youngest son, birth son, he's 20. He'll be 21. And then I have a 10-year-old daughter that I adopted, who's my cousin. So when I look at these different things, and then it's my son up in there and my other stepdaughter. And so I raised a total of 5 kids, right? And I look at them and I look at their different paths in life, and how they all took so many different paths. And it's not to say one is better or different, or one is better than the other, but they're definitely different. But of course, these are different risks that they took, right? Some of them did this, one of them did that, another did this, another did that. And so now I'm looking at my 10-year-old like, how are you going to turn out? Because I don't know, like, she's so far removed from me, from my generation. Like, I'm afraid that there are some things that I'm going to forget to tell her. So I think about the things that I didn't tell my oldest kids. And so I'm like, okay, how do I make sure that you understand? There are some things that I just gotta put a Band-Aid on, because I'm trying to dig. I don't have the time or the capacity to dig deeper at that moment. And so you have to figure out what's important to you. What are you willing to risk versus the reward? So even when you're doing things that your parents say you're not supposed to do, like sneaking out the house and doing whatever, right? You're like, okay, do I take the risk? Do I ask for permission or ask for forgiveness? Right? Because at the end of the day, it's like, okay, what's the reward? If I snuck out the house and it was to go to a party, I might be okay with the risk of getting in trouble with my mom. But the reward was I was turned up at the party. I'm just saying, that's how life works. You have to decide what's best for you. No one else can tell you. No one else can tell you. And like I said before, in these videos, I'm making them because it's about something that's going on in my life, something that's going on in people's lives around me that I talk to, or a combination of both. Sometimes it's my personal life and the people all at one time, depending on what day of the week it is. All right. Thank you for watching Hood Parenting. I'm your host, Yashika Foster. Tune in and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you check me out on Fridays when I upload a new video. Bye.